Hi, everyone. I want to thank you for tuning in to this edition of the War Room. I am your fight goddess and your co host, Chris Baldwin, and I had the distinct pleasure of interviewing Mr. Navi Robins, who created this very powerful piece behind me titled Sometimes I Told You So, Just Ain't Enough. Tune in now for our discussion. Navi Robins, it is a pleasure to have you here today. And I want to thank you for jumping into the war room because we typically talk sports justice here, primarily boxing.
Mhm. Okay.
But when I saw your image, and the first image I saw was the 92% image. And from what I understand, that image was AI generated. And it was something that was inspired by the original done by you. And that's titled Sometimes I Told You Just Ain't Enough, which I love the title. But this piece to me that is, for everyone that's tuning in right now, this is the original artwork that inspired the AI meme, if I have it correct. And this piece is just so powerful because after this election, this is exactly how I was feeling. Like, this is when I saw this, I was like, man, whoever drew this, they hit it on the nail because all of my sisters, I'm also politically active with Stonewall Democratic Club. So, we work really hard to lift up our community. And we do that through politics. People don't really understand that. They scream about change, but they don't understand that politics is the way to do it. And Black women, more so than anyone else, understand. I believe Black women are the conscience of this country, and that, we have our eyes on lifting up not just the Black community, because when you lift up the Black community, you lift up everybody. So just please explain to our viewers what inspired you to create this piece and what's been the feedback so far. And also, I need to know your response to the AI generated piece that really prompted all of this conversation.
Please. First, I want to thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. I appreciate the opportunity. I really do. Um, I was feeling, I can't say I was feeling like Black women because Black women feel differently, but I had led myself to actually believe in America, and I have been, you know, very stern about not believing in how Americans vote, their moral standings, their empathy, their humanity. Just, and with this election, I allowed myself to believe, and I was more involved in the political process of getting VP Harris voted into office than any other candidate. I was more involved even than Barack Obama. I
And why
used
is
my
that?
platform.
Why is that?
Because VP Harris is the most unproblematic presidential candidate we've ever had.
Mm. Why do you say
Period.
that?
Because when you look at her record, you look at VP Harris's record, right? If you take out all of the lies and the fluff, she doesn't have any scandals. She don't have any outside kids. She doesn't have any indiscretions. You know what I'm saying? Like she don't got nothing over her head, like you know what I'm saying, like
Right.
Watergate or something like Benghazi or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. When you look at her work as a Black woman for Black people, she has been, I mean, she was so, they called her a social worker in California because she refused to, send so many people to jail. Of course, as a prosecutor and the state's attorney and attorney general, your job is to prosecute criminals, right? People who, so, but when you look at her record, the back on track, those types of things, it was like, how many presidential candidates actually have that under their belt? They
Right.
really don't have that, right? And the fact that she is in fact married to a white man, but she retained her blackness.
Right.
Because in this country,
Oh,
a
yes.
lot of us
That's right. That's hard to do.
we trade in we start wearing corduroys and duck shoes and stuff like that. We don't want to retain our blackness. And for her to do that throughout her entire career, and the fact that, she went to my alma mater, HU, I was just like, what else? This is like a package deal. But in hindsight, America didn't deserve her. America deserves Donald Trump.
Well, half of us deserve
And I
her.
know have no, you know what I mean? Like
No, I
as a
I
as a
get it. No.
country,
Right.
this history, and America really hasn't received its karma.
Right. Right.
And Donald Trump is America's karma. It is.
Right.
But after she lost, I allowed myself to believe because it was like VP Harris was like mama coming back to take us away from the abusive,
Mm-hmm.
like Boys in the Hood, mama coming to take us from Nick Styles, but Nick Styles isn't Lawrence Fishburne. Nick Styles is Donald Trump.
Right.
And she was like, mama coming to take us away and keep us safe. It just watching her run her campaign with the way that Joe Biden was running his campaign, and I was going to vote for Joe. I was going to vote for Joe. Even though he's a zombie, I was still gonna vote
All
for him.
right.
I don't
I don't
care.
care if they had to wheel him into the White House.
Dig him up. I'm
Right.
gonna vote for him. But VP Harris felt good.
Yes.
She felt good. And it was something that we haven't felt in a long time. Even with Joe Biden in office, Donald Trump looming in the background. Just
Mm-hmm.
so she felt good. And I allow myself to believe. I allow myself to believe in the humanity of Americans because Donald Trump and his rhetoric, Project 2025, Agenda 47, it just, in my eyes, it was like it's a clear-cut decision. Of course, we're going to have a large group of people that's still going to vote for Donald Trump because that's he aligns
That's
with who they
right.
believe in. But I felt like there's also going to be a large group of Americans that's going to be like, mm, we want to move forward. We want to put progress. So to see how she lost, and it was a decisive loss. It wasn't like close or nothing. It was
Right.
America made themselves known. And it hurt. And that morning, the night, my 10-year-old daughter, Eden, she was so excited about VP Harris, but she couldn't stay up late. So I said, when you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, I'll tell you what. I, I had to tell her, and she was
Mm,
heartbroken.
of course.
And after I dropped off at school, I came home and I was just like, I don't know how I move forward from this. It's almost like you believe in that abusive partner. They say they're gonna do right. I didn't get off that narcotic, come home, anime, and then you give them the shot, and then they beat your again, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how I was feeling like, man. And so I picked up my iPad, I grabbed my pencil, and I just started drawing. And I just poured out that anger, that rage,
Mm-hmm.
that pain, and the need for an image to come out of me that relax me. It's a very alarming and somewhat disturbing image while at the same time very calming if you are a black person. Now, if you are a black man who constantly keeps fighting and competing with black women, then that image is going to
Right.
get on your nerves. But if you are a black man that understands that there is no black community without black women, then you understand why there are black women up there because the initial thought was men, black women, and black men. But
Mm-hmm.
when I thought about it, I was like, no, because, and I've said this so many times, black women been at this political thing nonstop since Al Gore.
Mm-hmm.
Since Al Gore, black when Al Gore lost, black woman was like, nope, absolutely not. And if you look at the trajectory of black women in politics, it was at that moment that black women said, no mas.
We've had
We're
enough.
gonna we've had enough. And so I was like, black men, ever since Al Gore, our participation in a political process have kind of dipped. And I was like, it just doesn't feel right. And VP Harris's rise, 100 days, a little over 100
A
days.
100 days. Incredible
Yeah,
campaign. Yes.
incredible campaign. And black women was on it. So I was like, this was my montage. This is my honor to black women. Because at the end of the day, this country relies on black women to move things, to
Mm-hmm.
progress. And so I was like, it needs to be for black women. I didn't want to put them in modern clothing. I wanted to put them in clothing that made you feel like they are relaxing. Because jeans and a shirt or something like that, it just seems like you're at work still. You might be about to go protest, but the garments that they're wearing is kind of like, I'm in grandma's moo right now. We just sitting here sipping this tea,
Right.
watching
I
this
see.
stuff go up in flames.
Right. And I see that they look pretty much to me. I catch
Mhm.
maybe some African print on
Yes,
some of the
absolutely.
dresses.
Hmm.
And I read that your family moved to Liberia.
Yes, yes. When I was 10 years old.
And is that what inspired you to put the African print?
Yeah, yeah. I've always I'm not Dr. Umar. I'm not
Right.
that far with
Okay.
it, right? But I've lived outside the United States a lot longer than I lived in it.
Okay.
And living in Africa was a great and tragic experience. But I've always viewed us, no matter how much we struggle as a people, I've always viewed Black people as royalty. And
Mm.
those garments that they're wearing, it gives royalty, right? Like and I had all type of thoughts like putting crowns on their heads, but I was like, they are relaxing. They are not working because a crown on your head means that you are clocking in the courtroom, you're clocking in the throne room and I was like, no, because at the end of the day, when I created this image, it wasn't to monetize it, right? Because once I was done, I posted it. I didn't put it on no shirts. I didn't put it on nothing. I just posted it and I animated it. And then I found that song. The song seemed like it's just perfect. It went with it. And I just uploaded it and I kept watching it myself over and over and over again. The more that I watched it, the less stressed I felt, the less
Mm.
fearful that I felt. Because again, I was, as a girl dad, I have four kids, two sons and two girls. Two of them are grown, and then I have a 10 and a 12-year-old. And that is, you know, as a parent, that's what's coming down the pipeline is extremely
Mm.
terrifying. It is
Right.
not, and I keep telling people, say, this is not the same type of election that you guys are thinking. I know in previous elections, there's a lot of fear mongering going on, but he means exactly what he said. And
He means it.
he's doing exactly what he said. And I was like, this type of environment is unsafe for women and children. Men, even black men, we have access to patriarchy,
Right.
right? We have
Exactly.
access to
Acts.
patriarchy and
Exactly.
misogyny. So, at the end of the day, we'll be a little bit all right, right? Because at the end of the day, patriarchy leans towards men, but women and children, and I know me. You're not going to say anything to my kids and don't think that I'm not going to come up to the school. Like, you're not going to walk up to my door and say, your body, my choice. I
Mm.
fight kids. I fight kids for my kids. Y'all going to see me ignorant on world star.
You're gonna be going viral for a different reason.
Y'all be ignorant on world
Right.
star.
Right.
But that was the inspiration for it. And then before the AI image went viral, a friend of mine was like, you need to put this on a shirt because I want to wear this. And I was like, I don't know if I want to put it on the shirt. And she was like, put it on the shirt, please. So I put it on the shirt. I put it in my TikTok shop. I didn't promote it or nothing. I did like one video and I just left it alone. But then on Threads, I started getting tags on Threads. I didn't use Threads a lot. And people were like, hey, look,
That's where
we
I
need
saw
merch, you
you.
need pictures. Yeah, they
Hmm.
purchase and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. And I already had a vendor because I got like merch like this, like
Right.
now y'all got it. And so I was like, okay, let me go to the vendor and see what they can do. And the vendor had everything I needed. And I was like, okay. I uploaded the artwork and it's been great ever since. I know that the AI artwork more than is getting more major network
Right.
play,
Right.
but for me, it's okay. Our
Yeah.
fame is really
It,
not,
it's just like you can't get around it, right? Because the AI
you know,
stuff is here. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
artists like yourself are going to have to deal with competing against these AI generated images. Actually, you've got fans on Facebook through
Hmm.
there's a group. It's got like 150,000 members, I think. But they're again it's a artist group against AI generated
Against
images.
AI.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah,
I'm
they've
not
got
gonna lie to you.
yeah.
I do use AI
Yeah, I use it
as a
too. Yeah,
graphics designer. Not for that picture, not for the, but
right,
I am a graphics designer and I design book covers for a
right.
lot of African American authors.
Hmm.
And I can tell you, stock image website do not like black people
Oh, I
at
know. I've
all.
been there.
And you going on there looking for something, they're either smiling or
Yep.
they holding a flower.
It's
It's like, hey,
horrible.
I need a hard looking man because this is an urban lit book cover. This is a romance book cover, and I can't have a guy. He's supposed to be in love with a woman, not in love with a flower. It's like it just. And so with AI, it allows me to create those photorealistic images that represents us
Hmm.
in a non-stereotypical way.
Right.
I have noticed since AI, for those graphic designers who are not shying away from it, the book covers that are now being created on Black books are phenomenal. I am talking about a book cover that more than likely would have cost a publisher at least $8,000 to
What?
do the photo, yes, to do the photo shoot, to pay the models and everything else. Listen, and I'm so happy because previously in Urban Lit, all of the covers look the same.
Yep.
They all look the same aesthetic. You do reusing the same models. Now, when an author comes to me and say, Navi, I need you to design a cover for me, like, what is your vision? And when they tell me what their vision is, I'm taking notes and I go right into AI and say, I need a beautiful black woman, voluptuous, with long hair, dreads,
Hmm.
and I need a black man in a suit, tie, sitting in a sports car. She's leaning on a. I can tell AI to give me that and it'll kick it out. Now, there's going to need to be some tweaks. But for me, because a lot of us don't have a lot of money. Let's just be honest. Like a lot of people who publish books are struggling authors. They don't
Absolutely.
have the $5,000 to $6,000 or even $1,000 just to dedicate to the cover design. And I understand artists because again, I am an artist because I felt the way about it in the beginning. I did. And I told myself I wasn't going to get involved. I wasn't going to use it. I'm going to just be completely
Right,
honest.
right.
But then I started to see a lot of Black authors hanging up their pen because they were unable to afford the high cost of book covers, or they refused to keep having their book covers look the same models and
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
And I was like, and I'm thinking like, am I doing the right thing? Am I really doing the right thing? And then I went to a seminar. I went to a conference, Black Animator, I forgot the name of it. And one of the presenters said that AI responds to input. The information you give to AI is how it represents the information. He said that if we allow white people to continuously keep putting the information into artificial intelligence on what black people look like and what
Right.
represents us, he said that trying to boycott AI is going to do us more harm than good. And
Hmm.
that it was like a light went off and was like, oh, he's right. Because my AI generates images differently than other people. AI learns you, particularly right? Like,
Hmm.
what do you want? What is your business model? Well, like with you, if you use Chat GTP learns Chris.
Yeah, I use Pi.
And so the Pi, well,
Hmm.
Pi, so it learns you. So when she continuously putting the prompts in there, it now understands that you have a podcast that talks about law and sports. And so when you ask it a question, it will lean towards what it is used to. For me, when I'm using like different AI things to create these images for book cover designs. When I say a beautiful black woman, I no longer have to say dark skin, light skin, fair skin. It will give me a plethora of different ones, different looks, different hairstyles. When I first started using it, it would strictly give me a black woman that looked
Look like a white
like she
woman
could
with,
pass.
right.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Mhm. But now it doesn't. It gives me what it knows I like because it keeps track on the things that
Right.
you're
Would you
picking
select?
and
Hmm.
well, okay, I like this. And that is great for me and for other authors who do not have the budget. Now, I do work for the big five. And so they have their big photo shoots and then they send me the images and then I do my magic. But even now, the big five are reaching out to me and saying, hey, we on a tight budget now. Can you create this for me? And I'm like, yeah.
So who
So
are the big five?
you got Simon and Schuster, Random House, Carl Weber, his imprint
All big
Renaissance,
publishing houses that are left.
the big
Yeah.
public, yeah. And they're reaching out to me because they contract me and they be like, hey, we're working on a budget. We really don't have $5,000 for this cover. What can you do for us? And I'm like, I got you. And then I'll create the cover for them. And they be like, absolutely, this is wonderful. So it I encourage people within reason. I don't want people to lose this like this, right?
Right.
This
Right. Hmm.
this here, don't lose this. Now I do use an iPad because I do children's book illustrations, and it's easier for me to create them digitally instead of drawing it on a piece of paper, then taking it to Kinko's or somewhere and having them
Hmm.
scan it and do it directly on the iPad. That way I can size it as big as I want. I can make it small as I want. I can make the corrections without having to start all the way over again. It's much easier, especially
So
now that
the images I saw, the kids' images I saw on your website, the illustrations,
mm,
those are all
mhm.
done on an iPad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
And so you
Yeah.
draw them with a little
With this pen,
stylus.
right?
Yeah,
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 this
yeah.
this right here. And my trusty iPad Pro right here.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And because with digital art, using it on a you can tell the iPad to use a different art style, like watercolor
Mm.
or just straight lines or something like that, or paint. You can do that and it will give you those brushes. A lot of the brushes you need to buy. Again, I spend a lot of
Okay.
money on the different brushes,
Right,
but
right.
you use this pen and you can create those images. And because they are digitized and they're on here, number one, as soon as I'm done with this, I got my account with the Library of Congress, shoot it
It
right
goes
over.
straight there for your
You shoot
copyright.
it right over. I send it. No, I don't have it like connected to it. As soon as I'm done, it saves on it. But
Right,
because it's connected to the internet, all I have to do is get to the website.
right,
It's on this hard drive, and I just upload it, and I'm good to go. I don't have to. Oh, I need to run to Office Max and scan this paper, and then come back, and then
right,
from here. Now, some of my clients want the pen to paper touch, and I do offer that, but then that is on the more expensive side.
right,
And a lot of people that I work with are working on a budget.
right.
So I tell people, artists who be like, I don't, I understand because again, I felt away. But just like MP3s in the music industry, when the music industry was fighting against MP3s, you either evolve
Right. You
or
better
you
get
get
with
left
it.
behind. Yeah,
And then
that's all I would.
that's why Napster was able to come in and
Yeah.
swoop up all
It,
those millions of users. So, what's your next, what do you see? You've got several books coming out. Why don't you tell
mhm.
our audience about your writing and your writing style and the books that you're promoting?
Well, the three books that are coming out, Cry, Echoes of Man, Cries of War, and Tears of Sacrifice, is the Black Lotus trilogy. It is about the year 20. 2174, a virus is unleashed on the planet and kills all males, called the Y chromosome virus.
I'm a
All of
lesbian,
them.
so that sounds wonderful to me.
Right, right, okay. Gone. Now, the premise, the foundation of it, this is during World War III, but World War III has been lasting for over 100 years.
Oh my
It's in
goodness.
the future. So during this time, women, all their rights have been stripped. And they can't go to school, they can't vote, they can't be involved in politics. The only thing that a woman can do is be a battlefield nurse or a breeder. So what they do is they send women to these birthing cities where they force women to have babies, and the babies, they accelerate the process. So they have a child in 3 months. They put the child in these incubators, and the child is a fully grown man in a year, and they send that child right onto the battlefield because the entire planet is at war, because they're fighting over resources, because no one believed in global warming. So
Mm.
now they're fighting over resources. And so women were abused. Like if and then don't be a woman that can't have kids. You can forget it. They'll sell you off into the sex trade, or they'll just use that the soldiers will use you as entertainment. And so here comes this virus. Men gone. So women inherit the earth. And for 200 years, they have created a utopia for women. There are no jobs. There is no homelessness. It is perfection. Technology is far more advanced. The earth has reset, so there's no pollutants and things like that, but the virus returns. But this time the virus is mutating the women and turning them into kind of like a feral zombie. And the only cure is the DNA of a man.
Oh Lord. Oh my gosh. So if all of the men died, where do they get the DNA from? Or is that
Well,
that's a
they
giveaway?
some men, so initially when the virus hit, men died, but they
Okay.
were because men were constantly repopulating the battlefield, they had these vast stores of sperm.
Okay, gotcha.
So women were using that as artificial inseminating to give birth, but only daughters. If a woman had found out that she was pregnant with his child, a son, delete his fetus. But some of the mothers were unable to do that. They was like, I can't do it. So they would escape the cities. They would try to leave. And that's when the Phantom Hunters come in. The Phantom Hunters make the Dora Milaje look like kindergartners. They are, they're badasses. You have to read this book. They're bad. I enjoyed writing these women. The Listen, they are incredible, but that was their job. They call them Phantom Hunters because men are kind of like phantoms. They're ghosts. They, for the most part, don't exist. And so they would send them to go find these women and kill them and the child. But sometimes the women would get away. And so there are a few men scattered amongst the billions of women that have inherited the earth. And a scientist in New Lagos, which is what the city in book one, she knows of one. And she's like, I can go find him. But she's afraid that if the Council of Mothers find him, that they would use him and then kill him. She doesn't want him to
Hmm.
die because his mother was a mentor of hers. So she's like, I made a blood oath that when she escaped the city that I wouldn't tell anybody. Everybody thought she had died. And so she's like, but now I know where he is. I can go get him. We can use his DNA, find the
Right.
antivirus. And so that is the premise of the story. But there are some things happening because there's the villain name is Seraphine, and she is as smart as a supercomputer, but she is clinically insane. Now, in my world, women live to be about 300 years old. They
Wow.
don't actually start aging until they're like because because of artificial insemination, they have started to use genetics. So the women in the future are faster, stronger, smarter, more beautiful than their forebears. They are just better because of genetics. And Seraphine, she's one of the older women on the Council of Mothers because she was alive during that 100 World War. She was a little girl. And so the reason why she's clinically insane is because she took the trauma from the old world and brought it into the new world. And so her dedication to making sure that men never come rise again is now madness because she not only has a deep hatred for men, but she also has a deep hatred for women who may have some sort of empathy because she like if you let one man through,
Hmm.
it's over.
Right.
So that that trauma has created, and because she has unlimited power and unlimited intellect, so that has driven her mad. And so as she sees more women escaping the cities and giving birth, or just women questioning why we, because if patriarchy no longer exists, if misogyny no longer exists, why are we killing these boys? What's the point? Because they're like, are men born inherently evil, or is it the society that teaches them these things? It's like we not even giving them a chance. And so she's like, I can't trust y'all. So, I'm just gonna kill him.
Right. Now, how long did you, because I know you probably have that nugget of a story somewhere. And when did that nugget appear? And how did you build on that nugget? And how long did it take for you to kind of like
Baby
express
did
it
it.
and put it on paper?
I have been working on the Black Lotus trilogy for about 8 years.
Wow.
Um, the idea came when Donald Trump came down that escalator. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
He came down that escalator. I saw it. I was like, oh my God. And it was like, what would the world be like with such a man at the helm? How would men respond to a man like this as a leader? And that is why the 100 Year War, fighting for resources, and then turning women into cattle. And as his administration progressed and as the narrative starts to change, especially within the Black community, the rise of red pill and men going their own
Hmm.
way, and Kevin Samuels and Tommy Sotomayor and these other clowns, it just added more. Just give me more
Fuel to the
content. Then
fire. Right.
yeah, then once I became a content creator on TikTok, and I started having like lives and having men come up to my panels and having these discussions with them, I was like, oh yeah, y'all giving me a lot of material. But also even the women, even some of my sisters, because sometimes I have to call them out. Like I say, you do know that you're taking your trauma and you're applying it to all men. And you do know that if you do that, you are no better than a red
Right.
pill man.
Right. Right.
And so the characteristics of Seraphine is that, right? Now, I wrote her in a way that although she crazy, you still looking at her like, oh, sure. Yes. Like I don't know if I can, because I have some readers and they like, you call her a villain. I think she got a point. And those are the best villains. The villains that you can associate with, you be like, yeah, I might not like the method, but
Right.
he or she got a point. Like the Joker had a point. In Dark Knight series, the Joker had a
Uh-huh.
point.
Uh-huh.
Saying the Bane. Bane had a point. His method to his madness was crazy, but they both had a point.
Right.
So with her, it's like she has a point. Like when you would, and that's why I wrote that 100 Year War so brutal. It needed to be extremely egregious, right? Because I wanted her to be extremely egregious. I don't like writing villains that has what is that redeemable qualities, because then you're not a villain. You just a person that's waiting for your moment to be good. I don't want to do that. I want you to be bad. I want you, my villains to love being bad.
Right,
Because then that makes the hero step up, right? That makes the hero even more compelling because the hero now has to be better. They have
right,
to step up everything because there is no reasoning with this villain. This villain has a course of action. There's no remorse, and they're gonna go too far. And Seraphine goes too far. She goes the end of book two.
right.
I was looking at
Where
myself
did
like,
this come from? Right,
what's happening? I had to look in the mirror like, are you crazy too? Because yeah, I had her go way too far.
right. Now,
But
while you were writing that, did the book take a life of its own, like the direction, like you started down one path and then all of the characters kind of take you this way or take you that way? Explain a little bit about that.
absolutely. I freestyle write.
What does
So
that
I know
mean?
what I want to, I know a lot of authors, they do an outline. So they'll be like introduction chapters, the characters, and then they outline it all the way to the ending so they can stay in that path. I don't do that. I know what I want the story to be about. I have the title. I kind of know how it's going to end. And then I start writing. And I allow my imagination to lead me where it needs to go. So as I'm writing, I'm like somebody watching TV. Oh, I didn't see that coming. And I just keep going, right?
Right.
And then I let the editor go through it and be like, okay, you probably need to clean this up a little bit, brush this up a little bit. But I allow my imagination to lead me. So a lot of times, they say the devil is in the details. I don't know what the devil gonna do. I just don't know. And so yeah, like with this one, um, there's a character that was supposed to be away. And my imagination was like, no, that's too weak. Do something else. And so I did something else. And I had some people reading. It was like, I did not see that coming. Holy crap. That's for me, that is and I can only do that if I freestyle it.
Right, right.
I know what
That's
the
dope.
story is going to be about, but I need for my imagination to tell it. That keeps my voice, my imagination fresh, and it don't get stale, and I don't repeat the same stories and the same dialogue and situations.
Right. Have you thought about like scripting it out for a film or as a screenplay?
Hmm. I'm a screenwriter as well.
Right
I
on.
have I have a movie idea that is being shot. It's called Dear Diary. It's about a black woman who is the last woman on Earth after the zombie apocalypse. And her day-to-day struggles and things like that, she has a tablet and she writes Dear Diary. Her tablet is kind of Tom Hanks, Mr. Wilson, and Castaway. And she writes in it, she starts every entry as Dear Diary, humans are trash. And then she talks about so she talks about the things that she's gone through. And she is military, she is ex-military, but she's been alone for 20 years. And she's a woman. So writing I want her to be Rambo. I wanted her to be capable, but I also wanted for you to see in the film that it is a struggle. It's a daily struggle. Just to go get water could be the end. Done. And then she gets a call from like a walkie-talkie. She hadn't talked to anybody in 20 years, and it's a woman on the other line. The woman is like, hey, there's a last city of mankind in Canada. She's in Chicago. I'm from Chicago, so a lot of
Right.
my characters are from Chicago. She said, hey, you need to get here. Out in Nova Scotia. So she takes a month-long trek to get to this city with all of the trials and tribulations and near-death experiences while she's still, but now that she has somebody to talk to, she's not writing in a diary. And she starts to rely more on this person. And then something happens when she can't talk to this person anymore. And then things just kind of go a different way. I don't want to
Unwrapped,
give the
right.
rest of it
Yeah,
out.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but and I have another
Right.
one. I haven't shopped it yet, but I'm really I can't wait for this one. It's called Jesse's Girl. It's about a guy who gets out of prison. His friend has money. He owns a lot of clinics and plasma collection clinics, and he gives him a job. And his friend is married, and him and his wife start having an affair. I give you a job, and you start sleeping with my wife, right?
Right.
And so his wife tells him like, my husband got a $40 million insurance policy on him. Let's kill him and get the money. So he agrees, but then he starts to see some things like because the wife buys him a house, she buys him a car, she buys him fine art, she buys some jewelry, she just lacing him up, right? She's providing and protecting him. But as the movie goes on, he starts to discover that the house, the cars, the fine art, the jewelry, and everything else actually had belonged to somebody else who was no longer alive. So he's trying to find out why she giving me a dead man's things. And that's all I'm gonna get.
Yeah. You are so talented, multi-talented. I love
Thank you.
that. All right, so what's next for you? Where do we go from here? What's your vision?
I
What's on the
am
vision board for
what's on the vision board.
2025? Yeah.
The 2025, more books.
Okay.
More books. Definitely gonna write more books. Definitely want to focus on more books. More art. I'm working on another piece right now. I'm
Have you
just
had
gonna
any
give a hint.
commissioned pieces done since this piece went viral?
No, no,
No.
just people buying the canvas
Okay.
print and stuff like
Nice.
that.
Hmm.
But no commission print. I can't even really. I don't think I will have the time right now.
Yeah.
Got 3 books coming out
Right.
with the audio book and everything else, and I'm creating another piece of artwork within the same lines. But this time it's gonna be with water.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna give it. This time it's gonna
Okay.
be water. That's
Okay.
just all I'm gonna give. It's gonna
All
be with
right.
water.
I love
But
it.
um, I'm definitely gonna dive head first into the screenwriting side of things. I want to be able to get some television ideas and things like that on the screen. Some and I'm for me as a writer, I don't care if it's on Paramount Plus or Tubi.
Right.
I just need it to get out there so people can enjoy it. Some people
Right.
like, crap on Tubi. Look, however you can get your work out there, just
However it
as
can be
long as it's
distributed. Right.
quality,
Yep.
get it out there. Um, I do have a organization that I just started, me and a bunch of other authors and business people called Hail Black Authors. And the initiative for Hail Black Authors is to, because as we know with this administration, they're going to try to silence Black literature.
Hmm.
They're banning
Hmm.
books, DEI, they're gonna penalize schools for, having discussions about Black history and slavery and things like that. And so we have to combat that by releasing more Black voices. So with Hail Black Authors, that initiative is to help publish at least 10 Black people every year.
That's beautiful.
And it doesn't matter if they're children, if they're women, doesn't matter what the genre is, it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. We don't care. We want 10 Black voices to be immortalized every year. So, and I have a shirt on my site that says it's banned 3 books and 7 more will stand in this place like Hydra. And on the back, the logo for Hell Black Authors. And so that is something that I'm going to really focus on as well in 2025 to get those 10, at least 10 Black authors, whether it's a children's book, poetry, autobiography, whatever it might be, self-help, because we have to put our voices out there because nobody else is going to do it. They've made it perfectly clear that we're on
Absolutely.
our own and we can't rely on advocacy and allyship because it's all performative. And if we don't progress Black voices in literature, no one else will. We're already 300 plus years in arrears, right? Because
Hmm.
260 plus of those years, it was illegal for us to read and write. And we have more Black authors, published authors, than any time in history. But apparently, it's not enough.
It's not.
And it's not enough. So that's my contribution. Man, I could go build a basketball court or no, no, because as an author, you become immortal. You
Yeah.
become an immortal. Your content, your intellectual property lives on long after. I tell people about the guy who wrote Lord of the Rings, Tolkien. His empire is now worth close to $90 billion.
What?
Yes.
And now is
And
that because
his
of the books and the films?
the books and the films, everything. But when he passed on, he was nowhere near worth that much.
Right.
But his great great grandchildren now, that's what they do. They don't do nothing else but maintain that IP. And he completely eradicated poverty from his bloodline forever. And that is something that as Black people, we need to start looking at
Right.
eradicating generational poverty from our bloodlines forever. And we have attached ourselves to the system to where they can take it from us at any given moment. We have to start looking at what we create and start to release it independently. And it does mean that you got to work harder. It's going to take a longer time for you to see that success.
Yep.
And you may not even see that success in your lifetime, but your children can, your grandchildren can. And that's the purpose. We have to start looking ahead because when Tolkien wrote the Lord of the Rings series, I don't think he even imagined where it is right now,
No, he
right?
didn't. No
Like
clue.
Amazon gave his grandkids $200 million just for the permission. The 200 million had nothing to do with the splitting of the residuals after they released the TV show. Mm-mm. It was
Wow.
just, we're going to give you $200 million just so that y'all can hold it for us. You don't let nobody else make none out of it. Can y'all just hold this for us?
That's
Hold it for us for
incredible.
2 years. $200 million. And yeah. So, and people like they hate it, they didn't like it, it wasn't true to the books. Them great grandkids don't care about none of that.
Right.
You just hand me a check for $200 million plus whatever we gonna make on the back end,
Plus residuals.
plus
Right.
residuals. Like, and that is when you look at that, right? Even the Bible, right? I'm not a religious person. I'm just not. I'm a spiritual person. I believe in a higher power, but
Right. Right.
Bible, but
Yeah.
even the
Don't get me
Bible,
started on that.
yeah, I can only think how do if imagine you writing a book like the Bible, it's popular. Your great, 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 great grandchildren will be born in royalty. And somebody like Donald Trump will be inconsequential.
Hmm.
And also, too, as a people, we now have the money, the capital to prevent a Donald Trump from ever happening again. Right now, we don't have the capital. They say trillions of dollars pass through Black people's hands, but it's all credit. It's
And
not
through the
capital.
black church, millions of dollars,
Exactly.
billions of
Mhm.
dollars flows through the
Through
black church.
and they don't flow back to
And it
us.
don't flow back to us. Exactly.
Mm. We don't have capital. Black people, we do not. We have credit. Oh, Renter Center and Best Buy and the rest and all, they'll give you consumer credit. But as soon as you ask for business credit, mm-mm, we don't have capital. We just have financing to go buy stuff that we don't need, go buy stuff
Exactly.
that isn't important. But if we can start to take our IPs, whether it's music, dance, art, literature, cooking, whatever it is, and instead of taking it to Simon and Schuster, and I don't want to be a hypocrite because I'm a hybrid author, so I do have a 3 book deal with Simon and Schuster. But at the same time, when they asked me to renew, I said no.
Mm.
No, I'm not doing it again. You get those 3 books out of me, and that is all. And the reason for that is because I'd rather take the marathon journey to get to the finish line than for me to take the sprint. And when I get to the finish line, you trip me
Right.
because that's what's happening. Our
Hmm.
into so much of our intellectual property is being taken away, and a lot of our most talented people are dying broke.
Putting up GoFundMe accounts to pay for the
Yeah.
funeral. Right.
Like there's no way that Whitney Houston only left her daughter $12 million. How was that even possible?
That
Yeah.
her, but I
Yeah.
thought it was way more than that. It should have been
Mhm.
anyway.
No, it should have been. But when she was alive, they said she was worth $600 million.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
listen, I don't care how much shopping you're doing. The interest on it alone, you should
Right.
never go broke.
You should
Right.
never go
Michael
broke.
Jackson, the same way. Like, if you look at the greats that we've had, and I don't agree with R. Kelly is a horrible person. And I had to stop listening to his music.
I
And
took
it
every
hurts
last
because
song out of my library.
oh, it hurts because he's the soundtrack of my childhood. Like, in a man,
Right.
nobody's catalog is better than his. It is unmatched.
He
And I
was so
can't listen to it.
talented.
Absolutely. But he is going to die broke. And there's nothing he can do about it. Right? With all of the crime and degeneracy that Donald Trump has done in his life, he's not going to die broke. You know why? He did not sign over his IP to anyone. That's why he can get away with everything because
That's why he could still license his name, right?
mhm, he retained his IP. What we do, as soon as we find something good, as soon as we find something beautiful, as soon as we create something new, we go give it to Master.
Mm,
And then he takes it and weaponizes it and gives it back to us. And then we complain about how horrible the music is, how horrible the
exactly.
food is, how horrible. Well, we created hip hop and we gave it to Master and he gave us gangster rap. We have to stop doing that. And
Right.
that picture is a representation of that as well. You've shown us exactly who you are. We're listening now. So if you burn this to the ground, because I'm not going out there to protest. I'm not doing
Okay.
that. Donald Trump said bloodbath. I'm not about to, because
Right. I'm not
they
going out there. They
they
want us to
will
come out there. They want us to come
mhm,
out there.
they
Exactly.
will miss everybody and just hit black people.
Hmm.
I'm telling you. And
Yeah.
everybody else that's out there that ain't black, they're gonna get pardons. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I
It's a
encourage
mess.
people to stay out of it. After he's inaugurated and they walking down the street with their picket signs, we need to be home just like this.
Exactly. I can't wait to order my cup
Yeah, listen.
and your books. All right. Well, look, is there anything else you want to cover before we say goodbye?
um, just December 10th, the Black Lotus trilogy will be out.
Where are
Go
you
to Navi
releasing that?
Rob. It's gonna be everywhere, but again,
Okay.
NaviRobins.net.
Right.
My website, you can get the ebook from me, you can get the audio book from me, the paperback, the hardcover, the special edition hardcover from me, or you can go to Amazon. It'll be available at Walmart, Target, Books a Million, Barnes and Nobles, and your airport bookstore. It will be there. Those books will be there. But I always my first thing that comes out of my mouth is NaviRobins.net because the rest of those are my third party seller. I am my first
Okay.
party seller.
Okay. Gotcha. Got you. So the priority is go to navirobins.net
Dot net.
dot
Mhm.
net and order your copy of his books and his artwork. And now, can people order like a special print sizes? How do we order the
Yeah,
this image back here
I
for the
have
wall?
for the wall. Yes, so I
Hmm.
have a lot of options. I have matte, I have satin, I have some that are already framed. I have posters, so if you're working with a budget, but um they ship out pretty fast. It's the holiday season. I just want to encourage people to be patient with me. It is a holiday season. So the vendors and the shippers are swamped.
Okay.
So, the site says 7 to 10 business days. Just give it a little bit more time. If you are a little nervous, people have reached out to me. If I haven't reached out to you, it's because I haven't gotten to your email yet, but I am responding to everyone. But those sizes are available. The largest is, I think, it's 60 by 40.
Wow.
So
You
you
get,
can get,
yeah, yeah, that's
you
pretty
know,
good.
so, and people just to let you know, like I have now, there is somebody who's selling merch of that image, this exact image that I did not give them permission to do so. I'm
And who is that so
already
we
in
can blast
legal.
them out?
Her TikTok name, I ain't afraid to do it because I'm sensitive about my stuff.
Right. We
Um,
artists, you sense about your shit.
exactly. Her name is Kelly C. Watch with me on
Okay.
TikTok.
Kelly C. Watch
And
with me.
shoot me. And she created this website called our restful ourestingera.com. None of that merch is licensed by me. And this image that you see behind Chris is copyrighted. And I
So
didn't give
now,
her permission to
can you send her a cease and desist
see
letter?
this. We're already in the works. Already in the
Okay, good.
works because that was a violation
Straight up.
with the AI generated image. Me and that sister Nikki Free, we had a conversation. We did a live together, and everything is fine. She committed 20% of the profits to Hail Black authors, so
Okay.
I appreciate her doing that. So that for me, that's how you should,
That's how it's
right?
supposed to
Because
be done.
that's how it's supposed to be done, right? She didn't directly copy this. It was inspired and she went in AI and created her own image. Yeah, I felt the way about it at first, but then I'm not a person that jump to conclusions. I'm not a person that just, flip off on the deep end. So when we had the conversation, and it's because someone reached out to me and was like, hey, this person, that. And I was like, I want to take it down. And I was like, I'm not arrogant to tell you what to do on your platform. I said, if you want to shout out and be like, Navi created the original inspiration, and then I was like, I'm fine with that. I said, but I don't have an issue with the inspiration being spreaded as well
Right, right.
because the original purpose of this image was to give all of us a visual representation on how we will feel.
Hmm.
And we didn't have that. We didn't, as a group of people who was hoping for a better outcome, we didn't have that. We was just sitting at home. I know I was like, and so now that picture is, in fact, you look at it and be like, yeah, yeah, that's how I feel. And I know it makes me feel better. Like, okay, whenever I feel like maybe I should advocate somebody, I just look at the picture and be like, nope, mm-mm, y'all got
Nope.
it.
Okay. Nah, y'all got it. I like that. I like that saying. Well, Navi, thank you so much again for dropping into the war room. This has been a very insightful conversation. You are a very talented artist. I really want to see your work blasted out all over the place. I hope Simon and Schuster do you right, and I hope you're very successful on your independent author journey. So. Um, folks,
Thank
thank you
you.
guys for tuning
Thank you for
in.
having me.
Thank you again. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please hit that like button. I am Chris Baldwin, yo, fight goddess. And that is it for today, baby. You guys can hit me up on, I'm actually on Blue Sky. I'm dumping threads and all those Zuckerberg platforms. Already got rid of X, the Twitter, the
Oh,
shitter,
wow.
yeah, I had to delete that. I can't mess with the Nazis on that platform. And so I'm
Yeah, it's
strictly pretty
bad over
much
there.
on Blue Sky. So Fight Goddess at Blue Sky dot whatever their social handles are over there. But anyway, until next time, you guys, thanks for tuning
Thank
in.
you.
Peace, love, and push ups.
Peace.